Normally, I like to start with, like, what's going on in the Gilmore world as of, like, today in 2024,
Right?
but I think this week I wanna do, like, our life in Gilmore, if that works for you.
Do we have a life in Gilmore?
So there's 2 things that I wanna bring up. First of all, which is the most exciting, this past weekend, we went and saw
Brantley Phillips?
Grantley Phillips,
Yeah.
which is the town troubadour. He is amazing,
It
and
was a
if
great
you
night out.
have not had a chance to see him live, I do believe he is touring right now. Well, I mean, he must be, obviously, because we just saw him. So, he's touring right now, and you can go look up he's on Instagram, which is how I found out about it, but you can go look up his tour. He does do songs that were in the show, and he acknowledges, like, that it's from the show and Gilmore Girls, and it's really great. It's wonderful. It seems like he's got a lot of different music. Like he had a band previously. There's just a lot, but he is wonderful. He even like tells little stories in between his songs, which I found very delightful.
He was almost, like, half comedy-esque, like,
Yeah.
he was very funny in the little snippets in between the music.
Yeah, he's delightful.
Yeah.
We did not get a chance to meet him, but that was more my fault than his. He did, and he probably will do this in the tour. He does like go outside after the show, and he is selling CDs and records and different things. And he did seem to be willing to take photos. So if you are interested, I definitely highly, highly, highly recommend him. It was amazing. It was just a really wonderful, cozy night, and I just now want to go follow him around the country, which I know that's considered stalking. Can't do that. So that's number one, and then number two is I mean, you don't check your email, so I'm imagining you didn't see this.
I don't check my email is the thing of nightmares. There's something like 30,000 messages unread or something insane.
Yes. Well, we got an email. Now, granted, this is not real, but I like to live in a world where we pretend like it is. And we got emailed a list from FeedSpot of the top 30 Gilmore Girls podcasts, and we were number 2. Again,
How the hell did
yeah,
how did that
yeah.
happen?
I
I mean,
mean, I mean, like, first of all,
I do kinda have to question the validity of the
yeah,
list.
I
Not that I'm upset about being on the list, I don't know that we deserve it, to be fair.
No, I don't know what my presumption is like it's one of those lists where like you click on it and then like you because you clicked on it just have like automatically pulled up the list or something like that. I don't know. So it's not probably real. But I did kind of scroll through the list 'cause I was curious. Obviously, Luke Scott Patterson's podcast is number 1, which should be, and they probably like bookmarked that one to make sure that like people were like, the Gilmore Guys podcast is on there. It's like number 21 or 22, which again, this doesn't make sense. Rankings don't make sense here, but that's on there. And then the Gilmore Girls podcast that I actually first started listening to and that inspired the show was on the list, which is So It's a Show.
Mm.
And they go really deep into the references. They actually go and like, so if it's a movie, they'll watch the movie, they'll do a review of the movie, they'll talk about it, they'll talk about like how it relates to Gilmore Girls. It's a really great podcast.
How do they have the time for that in their life? Like, I can't even imagine dedicating that much time to
They
the
read full
references.
books. Like I mean, they do. They're not as much a rewatch podcast as we are. They're really focused on the references and like really
Mm.
tying it in. And I love that. We steered away from that only because we have a hard time
We would
doing the
never get a
podcast.
single
Yeah,
episode done.
but it's
Yeah.
amazing. So if you're really interested in that stuff, that's what got me inspired, and I really adore them.
Bro,
So, but they're on the list. There's other people on the list. Gavin Gilmore, which is a friend of ours, on the list. So it's a cool list. It's definitely fake. It's marketing material for us to like
yeah,
be part of
there's no
something.
way that we're legitimately too.
No,
There's no way.
but it's
I mean,
fun. It's
so
fun. So anyway, I just wanted to do that, and we are a little bit behind. If you guys didn't notice,
yeah,
we
that's my bad, but it's actually not my fault. My computer, which is a little bit older these days, I
it's a
it,
no, it's a middle schooler.
it's yeah, it's about to be a freshman almost. It's a bit of an older computer, and the cooling system on the CPU died, so we had to get it replaced, and that took some time.
Yeah, unfortunately, it does mean we missed the interview that we were intending to do. Hopefully, we get to reschedule that.
Yes.
But yeah, so that's where we were. Hopefully, we're back now, and there will be no more computer deaths in the family.
I'm Tyler.
I'm Shay, and this is Oi with the Pot Already. We are on the last part of Kiss and Tell, which
Yes.
is, I don't even remember what episode in season 1 now. What are we at? 5,
5,
6?
6.
It's
Sure.
we're on break brain. Hopefully we get back. But yeah, we're towards the end of this episode. We are starting right as Rory and Lorelai are outside the supermarket about to go in to get their snack food for their movie night.
Yes, to fully commit to the watching of a movie together, which I totally support. That sounds great.
Well, we're gonna have a movie night. We're actually planning one almost based on this, kind of, because Gene Wilder.
Yeah, it is connected. So it's all tied together.
Yeah, it's all tied together. So we are standing outside. We go inside to the supermarket, and Rory is very uncomfortable. Rory
Yep.
doesn't want. She's like, "Oh, he's not here. He's not here. He must be on a break. It's he's absolutely not here. We can just move along."
It was a go now.
Yeah. She did not want her mom to run into him, which, I mean, I get it. Like, I mean, we've all been teenagers. We've all been in that situation where we're like, we don't want our parents to run into our crush. That is just awkward. But they go and they get snack food. And I just gotta say, do you think you could eat all of that junk like in a night? I mean, at Lorelai's age, maybe Rory's age, but
As an adult, hell no. As a kid, I would have given it the good old college try. I'd have made an attempt.
I mean, yeah, at Rory's age, sure. But at Lorelai's
Oh no,
age?
I'm talking like 12, like 10, 12, like candy age. Yeah.
Oh, I mean, I probably still would have. I mean, at high school age, I was still eating crap.
No, I think I hit my peak performance of eating junk food around 12 or 13. But yeah, as a kid, sure. That's the dream.
Now, what do you think about, which is not technically in this scene, but since we're talking about the junk food they consumed, what do you think about spray cheese on popcorn?
No.
Have you ever tried it? Because I feel like we shouldn't knock it till we try it, right?
No, I'm knocking it full well because that's an abomination.
I mean, it reminds me very much of the fact that I put shredded cheese on goldfish.
Yeah.
The Mexican shredded cheese.
You're weird.
No,
Yeah.
It's good. It's great. It's wonderful.
I mean, you're not wrong, but it's just still weird.
Well, it might be weird, but it's good. But they have one big missing snack that everybody has when they have movie night.
Popcorn.
No, they have popcorn. We just said spray cheese on popcorn.
What's that?
Snow caps.
Not everyone has snow caps.
Everyone has snow caps. You don't have movie night without snow caps. What's the point of movie night without snow caps? I don't understand. Or, I mean, a lot of people also have Sour Patch Kids or like the watermelons. Sour
Swedish
Patch
fish
watermelons.
is the classic.
For movie night?
Yeah.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
You had a very strange childhood. I'm just going to let you know that. But there was a lot of good things. But they did have red vines, which we've had red vines officially. We hadn't had them until FanFest last year.
Yeah, the only time I've ever eaten them was as an adult because they're not available around here, really.
Which I didn't know that. I guess Twizzlers are the thing here?
Yep. Other than ordering them online and having them shipped to the house because Amazon does everything.
Right, but they had them at FanFest and we tried them. What was your thoughts?
I mean, they're fine. They're just, it's a Twizzler. They're the same.
Are they the same?
They're basically the same.
I don't know, actually. I've never been a Twizzler fan, and I know that's probably sacrilege since I'm like a super Gilmore Girl fan. I should like at least one of the two, Twizzlers or Red Vines, but I don't, which is, I do think it's weird that if the Red Vines aren't available here, why is that Lorelai's favorite? Because she's presumably from Connecticut.
I tie that to the fact that she comes from the Gilmores and she's traveled and
she's well traveled.
It's they get what they want. And she wants red vines. They'll before the internet, they'll find a way to get her red vines.
I just tied it to the fact that Amy Sherman Palladino's from California.
Well, there's that too. But they also describe but don't list Fun Dip.
Oh, Fun Dip. I used to love Fun Dip.
My brother was such a savage when he ate Fun Dip. He would snap the stick in half, throw it in there, and then just house the sugar.
Oh, that sounds awful. No.
Yeah, he was a monster of a child. Like, admittedly, not a pleasant kid to be around.
Is not a thing I would want to do. I enjoyed like getting the stick a little bit wet and then sticking as much of the sugar on it as I could, just like caking it on there and then licking it off.
There are just so much more efficient ways to eat sugar other than Fun Dip. That was my problem.
You didn't like it?
It was fine.
I loved Fun Dip, especially when I got it for Halloween. I was like so excited.
It was fine, but I wanted to eat like chocolate or things that you could just throwback. Like,
So it's laziness. It has
yeah,
nothing to do with taste. It has to do with the
yeah,
efficiency of
the
eating.
taste is wonderful, but it's not satisfying enough to just be able to eat like a 5 pound bar of chocolate in a sitting. Which don't do that. But
You don't think you should eat a Reese's Easter bunny, like 5 pound thing? You
no,
don't recommend?
I in fact don't,
You
because
don't
I will
recommend?
die.
Okay, so they're there, they're getting all of their snacks, and Lorelai is making some jokes about how good Dean looks and if he looks as good from behind, which was a little bit weird for a mother to be saying to a daughter.
There was a lot of objectifying Dean in this episode, to be fair. I mean, it was a lot of fully adult women talking about a high school student,
Yes, I mean,
which only works that direction and barely. But God forbid someone that is her age talks about Rory. That's
yeah,
just,
I mean, that's fair. But I mean, the interaction was pretty harmless at this point. They are, getting their stuff. The other cash register person, other than Dean, I don't know that they gave her a name, but she is acknowledging that they have movie night quite a bit. They're talking about the fact they're going to do the Oompa Loompas. Dean is there. Lorelai does introduce herself, but it's pretty harmless. I think I don't find
yeah. I
this.
mean, it's another instance of Dean being quick with things, because he's contributing to the conversation when the other cashier says Gene Hackman, which is not the right Gene for Willy Wonka.
Now, do you think he got mixed up a lot? Because they are 3 years apart. Gene Hackman and Gene Wilder.
They are. I mean, it's a Hollywood Gene, but they're not the same.
No,
We are
no,
not the same.
they are not. They do different movies. It looks like
Yeah.
Gene Hackman was more for like the action, like cop type movie, and Gene Wilder's
I
Gene
mean, there's a
Wilder.
bunch of movies that Gene Hackman is famous for. I mean, there's Enemy of the State with Will Smith. There is
Behind Enemy Lines,
Behind
Get
Enemy
Shorty,
Lines. Yeah. And then for uh,
Wilder.
Gene Wilder, God, there's Willy Wonka, there's Blazing Saddles, there's Young Frankenstein, there's a bunch of comedy classics which could not be different.
Right.
Could not be more different.
Yeah, they're definitely very different actors, but I think we all do that in some capacity where we just mix people up for no other reason other than their name, I guess, is just what that came down to.
I mean, I guess. Fun fact about Gene Hackman, though.
Mm.
He received the lowest review score for the Pasadena Playhouse when he was starting out that they've ever given out.
Oh, that's kind of sad.
And him and Dustin Hoffman, who were very good friends, were both combined to be the least likely to succeed. And clearly, that person doesn't know what they're talking about.
So basically,
Because,
you wanted that score.
yeah, I want
That's a
that-
challenge.
I want that person to say that I'm going to be a failure, and that's when you make it.
Yeah.
Because just come on.
Yeah, that person was very wrong. We should look into who gave those ratings out. But anyways, that was a pretty harmless interaction. They end up leaving the store, and Lorelai did call Rory a supermarket slut, which I thought was a little bit aggressive.
Yeah, I mean, it's
I think it's supposed to be funny, but I don't know how I'd feel about my mother saying that.
oh, I know very well how I'd feel about my parents saying that to me, especially if the person that I'm interested in high school was there.
Well, he was there, but he wasn't.
He walked off, but
Yeah.
it's not like he disappeared from the world.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know how I'd feel about that. And I think it would also make me want to hide more information because if that's going to be used against me in that capacity, I don't think I would want to talk about it. But yeah, I just found it a little bit strange coming out of Lorelai's mouth, but there we are. And then Lorelai says that she needs coffee, which it's dark outside for coffee. Like if we maybe acknowledge that I think she was lying because she also never gets the coffee if we're being.
Yeah, it's fictional coffee.
Yeah.
It's a coffee that doesn't exist.
Yeah, so she says she needs coffee and she sends Rory to go, I think, go get the movie.
Yeah, the video rental place was closing in 10 minutes, and they're being the worst person and not planning ahead by being at the
They're
store
being you.
10 minutes before close. I don't do that. That's just
I hate being
awful.
those people.
Like,
but it's a movie rental store, so it's not like they have to like make food or anything. But Lorelai, it says she's gonna go get coffee, so Rory walks off, and then Dean comes outside and he's like, "Hey, you forgot your red vines."
Yep.
And she starts talking with him, and she decides it's a fantastic idea to just invite Dean to movie night.
Well, she's looking at it not as a mother. She's looking at it as a friend of Rory. She's like, I'm going to wing woman her up and invite him over because I'm the cool mom that's not really even a mom, and it's going to be fine. And I'm just going to set her up for success.
But you don't think that, I mean, Dean was looking around. You could very clearly see he was looking for Rory. He didn't really know what to say. He kind of felt
Well,
trapped there. And
he
I'm
was
sure
hoping to
Lorelai could pick that
return
up.
those to her so we get a few minutes to talk to her, just outside of the store and just an excuse to be near her again.
I mean, yeah, but I feel like Lorelai is very perceptive and she could have picked up on his uncomfortableness and could have cut it off there and said, like, when he's like looking around, she could have been like, oh, you know what? Actually, Rory did tell me that she has something that she needs to do tonight. So we're probably going to end up really late. And you know what? Never mind. Why don't we do this another night? And just like ended it because
Yeah.
she could see how uncomfortable Dean was, but she didn't seem to pick up on it at all.
It's very much an out of character moment for her to not be perceptive and emotionally pick up on the other person's energy.
Yeah, I think she was so focused on the fact that Rory kept her out of this relationship up until this point, and she
She's
did not want to be kept out anymore.
Yeah, she's forcing her way in because that's they talk about everything and she doesn't make the connection that I'm mom.
Yeah.
She just it doesn't click.
No, I'm your bestie and you want your bestie there. Like your bestie will help you out. Like that's how she felt. So, needless to say, Rory was not pleased about the situation.
No, this is an Emily Gilmore move. It's absolutely
See now
an
is
absolutely it is. It is an she doesn't think it that way, but it's absolutely the thing that Emily Gilmore would do.
So, okay, so explain to me why you think this is an Emily Gilmore move because I don't agree.
Well, Emily Gilmore would do it maliciously to be the chaperone, to be supervising and make sure that it's a boy that she's approving of.
Sure.
So it would be a different reasoning, but she would still definitely invite the boy over to the house.
Yeah, I mean, I do think that Emily would, but I think that Lorelai was doing this she thought of it as a selfless act of, Rory is feeling really shy and is kind of taking things really slow and she needs a little bit of a push. She needs a little bit of help. So I'm going to help her out. I'm going to help move these things along.
The intent is different. The action is the same. It's the road to hell is paved with good intentions. It's still doing the thing that your mother, that you would be horrified if your mother does.
But she would be horrified that her mother did it because of her intentions.
Yes, but the action is still the same. You're still inviting the boy over, even if your intentions are different. The result is the same.
I guess. I mean, I feel like if Rory felt that Lorelai wasn't going to be weird about it, which she already established that Lorelai was weird about the kiss, then she probably wouldn't have been as weirded out by this because, I mean, we see in later episodes that Lorelai is very much involved in all of her relationships. Like they go on double dates, like they do a lot of things together. And it doesn't seem to bother Rory like it would like any of us. But I think that because Lorelai was so weird about the kiss, Rory wasn't there yet. Like Rory wasn't comfortable enough yet to share that side of her life with her. And Lorelai was trying to be like, no, I'm cool. Look how cool I am. I've invited your boyfriend.
I'm the cool mom.
Yeah.
And she's trying to regain that air of mystique of that's the central part of her identity is I'm the awesome mom.
Right.
And she's lost that a little bit because she's been cut out of this cool mom moment in her eyes.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. So Rory mentions the Amish again. I think this is the second time in this episode, but she says this isn't Amish country. And I'm guessing that she means that she doesn't need a chaperone, essentially.
It's just a very different way to go about things. It's very much more formalized and you have to have a chaperone. You have to
you're very pure.
Yeah, there's a whole process to that kind of dating versus just normal teen dating in the 2000s.
In 2024, we have knowledge of Amish traditions and dating that I wish we didn't have knowledge of and that I cannot get out of my mind. If you know, you know. But there are certain ways in which...
Are you talking about the stitching together?
The stitching together, I don't think I am.
I think there's a tradition of Amish boyfriend and girlfriend. If the family approves, they like stitch you into a sack and you can spend the night in the sack together.
I did not know that. Yeah. I was referring to, I think, what they referenced in the Jury Duty show where you just move things around. You jump on the bed.
Oh, that's Mormons, and that's soaking. That's a whole crock of shit.
I didn't know.
That's very different, but also just really
a lot.
Yeah.
Things I wish I didn't know in 2024. Thank you. And then Lorelai responds to the Amish country comment by saying, I invited him to movie night, not to Niagara Falls, which I thought watching this that she meant like essentially I invited him over to our house, not on vacation with us. Apparently that was not right.
No, well, so I can see that, but for me, it's very much the whole shotgun wedding kind of spur of the moment thing because Niagara Falls is very well known, other than the falls, which are lovely, of having a lot of like dime store, like quick wedding.
Dime store?
Yeah, like cheap, quick, fast weddings where
Oh, I was thinking dime as in things that you puff.
no,
So,
I'm talking like cheap, like quick, fast weddings.
like Elvis weddings?
Yeah, like Elvis weddings or Vegas like yeah, it's basically Las Vegas of the East.
I live in the East and I've never heard this reference at all. So I'm like kind of surprised by this.
I mean, I think it's more on the Toronto side of the falls. So you go to Canada to get married.
So you think that Lorelai is saying I invited him to a movie not to set up your wedding?
Yeah, basically. I think that's the reference. That's what I took from that.
I mean, I think that's stronger. That's probably a stronger reference. I just really thought she was just saying I didn't invite him on vacation. So Rory ends up kind of acquiescing and being like, well, I mean, there's nothing we can do. We can't uninvite him. Like you can't go and be like, Rory doesn't want you here. Like,
Yeah, there all the alternatives to uninviting him are worse than having to go through with it. And she's running through the list. She's going, well, I could pretend to be sick. No, that doesn't work because then he's gonna think about me being sick. If I think that I have to uninvite him, he's gonna think I'm freaking out. Like she's just going down the checklist, going, oh no.
right. There's no option. She's stuck. Now she has to have him come over, which would have been terrible. If this was something that happened in my life, I think that would have been a defining moment that I would not ever forget.
Yeah, you never date that. You move to a different town. Like you disappear off the face of the earth.
Well, they did not decide to go that route. So they end up back at the house and you get into Rory's bedroom and she has like all of these clothes all over and she's in her bathrobe and she's just like freaking out. She has no idea what to wear. She doesn't know what to do. She's feeling like this was supposed to be just like a regular movie night with my mom where I eat crap. And
She's
now,
thinking I'm gonna wear a t-shirt and sweatpants and just eat junk food. Like
right, and
I'm
just hang out.
yeah.
And that's not how it turned out, which I mean, I get it. I get it. And then she is trying to figure out, she's like, I don't know what to wear. I can't figure out anything to wear. And she's talking to Lorelai about it and saying, I've been staring at these clothes. I don't know what to do. And Lorelai is able to quickly just kind of point out really like a cute outfit for her.
Now I wanted to ask you about that. She said it's years of experience dealing with fashion brain freeze.
Yeah.
Is it that, or is it that it's not her moment, and then she's removed from it, and so it doesn't matter what she picks because, like,
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. I mean, I think there's a lot of criticism on this scene that Lorelai has bad fashion. So, like, who is she to say that she is a fashion?
you talking about the Chilton outfit?
I mean, yes, but I mean, a lot of her fashion is criticized, and people are like, who are you to say you're a fashion icon? But I think she has a very distinct style, and I think she wears it well, and I think that shows that she is really able to kind of put outfits together in a cohesive way that works for her.
See, I think that comes down to confidence. Like, if you can wear whatever you want if you have the confidence to wear it.
So that's where I've lost.
Like Cam Newton is famous for those hats. Like that's only Cam Newton can wear them. Like it's
Is that fashionable? Are those fashionable? Do we see those photos and go, you know what? Killing it. Do we do that?
no, it's one of those things where if you have that kind of personality, that carries it through more than
Yeah.
like I'm not pulling off any of those outfits. Like
No, don't try.
I'm not doing it.
Did you ever have that problem when going on dates though, of like looking at all of your clothes and just being like, nothing is going to work?
All of the time. No, I have just a much easier time with that because
So men don't go through
it's
this?
jeans and a t-shirt or jeans and a shirt. Like it's not.
But men don't think about like, okay, I'm going on a date. I want to look really nice and
Yeah,
like worry about.
Our choices are pants and a button down. Like it's not.
But still,
It's not hard.
So you don't think about it before a date.
No, like depending on how fancy you go, it's the top end is a suit or just a button down shirt and some nice pants. Like that's not.
So that's not an anxiety before a date.
No, because men have simplified it. It's a wonderful system. It is shirt and pants done out the door.
See, I wish it was that easy. I don't know how many times I'd be going on a date and I'm like, is this shirt too low cut?
You
Is it
guys have the
saying something? Is
death
it
by choices? You have too many choices. That's the problem.
I mean, it's also that there's so much being said by what you wear. Like if your skirt is too short, are you asking for something? If your skirt is too long, are you trying to say that you're closed off? If you wear this color, are you trying to say that you're like moody and gothic? If you wear these colors, you trying to say you're like a, I don't know, valley girl. Like there's so many different things. Like what is my outfit saying? And it's anxiety inducing because it also could be saying different things to different people.
Yeah. No, as long as you are clean and smell nice and you're dressed in clothes, guys, it like that's the bar. And
I wish that were true, but there's definitely perception even from men of what women wear and what that means and like what they're trying to say by what they're wearing.
I mean, I will totally concede that point, and I do not envy you at all for having that nightmare. I very much appreciate my forefathers having set down the rules of the bare minimum is the bare minimum.
I mean, I will say I can't for the life of me remember a single thing that any of my dates ever wore.
Exactly.
Do you remember anything that any of your dates ever wore?
No.
Not at all, really.
No.
That's interesting.
It doesn't matter. You're dressing up not for the guy because he's not going to notice what you're wearing unless it is like a garbage bag. But it honestly won't matter.
Interesting. I mean, we all do this to ourselves. So
The
what
guy
is
asked
it?
you on a date because he likes you. You've already won. Like that's done.
So then what is it that guys worry about before a first date?
Uh, being douchey.
So how your personality is perceived.
Yeah, it's more the how you present yourself, not what you're wearing.
See, I feel like I've already been asked on the date, so I already presented myself well. Now I have to make sure that my looks live up to what my personality
you have to
did.
Trap him in with your attractiveness.
Yes, exactly. You
No.
guys are visual.
Yeah, you've already established that. You've already brought the person in. Like he asked you out with what you were wearing at the time. Like you're already done. Like that is
But if I
fine.
mesmerize you with my beauty, then I don't have to worry about like much else, really.
You mesmerize me with your beauty no matter what.
Oh, look at that. But okay, so you guys don't worry about these things. In this moment, Lorelai gives her some pretty solid advice because Rory's like, look, you do this all the time. I watch you and I see you and you always have a great comeback.
I mean,
and
phrasing there, dear, all the time.
well, okay, not all the time. But you always have a great comeback. You do a hair flip. You smile
Twirl.
right.
Twirl.
Hair
How dare you?
twirl. You smile right, like all these things. And Lorelai's basically like, you'll learn. Like you're going to be able to do this. You're smart. You are going to mesmerize a guy. And
I can teach you the hair twirl.
Yeah.
Like it's not. It's just a twirl.
it's a
not.
little twirl.
It's not hard.
It's no. And I mean, that line is controversial in the Gilmore community because people feel it's kind of hokey and weird and whatever. But I think it's really cute. And I think it's a moment where Lorelai does put her mom hat on and kind of says, like, look, she needs like a little bit of mentoring here. And I'm
Yeah,
gonna
she needs the experienced hand, the guidance through this moment.
Yeah.
So
Which I think was a very sweet moment. And Rory calls her a crazy Elsa Klensch, which I had no idea. I'd never heard of that woman before in my life.
and apparently we should have because she wrote for CNN for a long time.
Yes. It was Style with Elsa Klensch. She had like a whole segment.
Yeah, a whole fashion article.
It was video.
Oh, it was video.
I watched some of the clips.
Oh.
And it was, well, at least the clip that I watched was Runway. And she was like giving commentary of like Runway stuff like Karl Lagerfeld and John Paul Gaultier and different designers. And she was giving commentary and then she was interviewing them afterwards about like their looks and like where they got their materials and like different things like that. Yeah, which I thought was really interesting. I'd never heard of it. It was many, many, many years that she did this. She also did write for Vogue and InStyle and like plenty of different other fashion magazines and such.
Yep.
But she was basically a fashion icon, it seems. Although looking at the video of her herself, I don't know if she was a fashion icon and what she wore.
She also wrote a book and established it's important to have a personal style. So even if it's not something that someone else is going to enjoy as a style, it's important that you have your own style. Like pick things that make you feel comfortable.
That is a hard thing to do. That is a lot easier said than done. Because let me tell you, I still to this day at 36 years old struggle. I'm not even 36 yet. I aged myself. At least you didn't go to 47.
I mean, this is true.
Time. But I still struggle with what personal style means and what it looks like for me. And yeah, I wonder how many people do. I wonder why we don't have someone like her to like listen to fashion advice from. I don't think there's really a lot of like fashion bits on the news anymore. I don't feel that there are. Not that I watch the news continuously or anything, but I'm curious if there's like a fashion journalist that people like look up to these days.
I think it's turned to bloggers and social media. Yeah,
Influencers, yeah, I'm not.
I think it's been spread out to be more accessible for anyone that can do it, and then you pick wherever you want to consume your advice from.
I'm not much on the whole influencer vibe because I always feel like they're selling to me versus actually helping me, but I get you. So from here, they finally decide what she's going to wear. They get ready to go, and then they're sitting on the couch. They show you all of the junk that they've got laid out, and they're sitting there waiting. And it's like clearly Dean must be late because they both look nervous and anxious and like what the freak is going on. And Rory is like, I don't know where he is. I don't know what happened. And Lorelai says maybe he's just late. And she is like still worried about that. And she says, okay, Miss German Train. And I didn't really know what we were talking about here. I feel like this is the whole episode. I just didn't know what they were talking about in their references.
Just it's kind of socially what Germans are known for is that they're very stern, very serious. They're punctual. They are the trains run on time because their function is to run on time. Like if you have to be somewhere and you have to be on the train, it has to get you there. Like it's not very forgiving on that. I wish we had punctual trains here, but
our trains are always delayed. But I feel like for a first date, especially if my mother is going to be there, I would definitely want you to be on time because you're making not an impression on just me, but also my mother. Granted, he wasn't late, but if he was, I definitely feel like that would be.
He got roped into the Babette Mori.
And they should have known that this was going to happen. Like, they've lived next door to them, presumably, for quite a while. They know what they're like.
He came out and talked to her at Babette's house at Cinnamon's wake.
Oh, like, that's true.
Like, he was there. Like, he knows.
Which actually makes me think, though, Babette already knew him and met him. So why was she acting like this was the first time?
They hadn't kissed yet. So there was still no
connection,
acknowledgement that Dean was interested in Rory and vice versa. There was no.
But they'd met, though. Babette was definitely talking to him as if she'd never met him. But he'd been to her house.
Babette is best friends with Miss Patty. And Miss Patty knows.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And it would have been instantly around town.
Of course. I'm more surprised about the fact that Babette was acting like she'd never met this man before when he's been at her house.
He's almost an adult. Is he a man? It's another instance of
pedantic.
Well, it's another instance of a much older woman objectifying Jared Padalecki. Like Babette is like, did you see? I have yes, they're babies, and like she was all about it.
I mean, yes, but also it's like when you go into like I don't know, a hair salon or something else, and the older women are like cheering on the younger women of like, oh no, I saw him. Get it?
But it's also not like she's old enough to be her grandma. Like it's basically her stand-in grandma because she didn't have a relationship with Emily for a long time.
This really bothers you, the older women objectifying the younger men.
I just don't like objectifying full stop. Like I would like to not have it either way, men or women.
I hear you. I feel like it does feel different.
Strive to be better, people. That's not hard.
No, I hear you. I feel like it does feel different than like the reverse, and it could just be a societal thing. But it feels more encouraging to Rory versus trying to demean the man. But I hear you. It's a bit much, and they do it a lot especially in these first few episodes.
And it also leads to a rather dated reference for a movie star Charlton Heston or Chuck Heston.
Right, but we haven't gotten there yet. One of the things that Babette is talking about here with Dean is the nightclub called Mr. Kelly's.
I did not pick that up as a reference.
Well, she was asking him if he'd ever been to Mr. Kelly's. And I looked it up because I was curious if that was like a thing. Apparently, it was a nightclub in Chicago that closed in the 70s. So Dean definitely could not have ever gone there. But it's where people like Barbra Streisand and George Carlin got their start.
Ah.
So it kind of ties to the fact that we had said Babette and Miss Patty probably both had the,
They ran
entertainer
in
life.
similar circles, and they just both decided to
Yeah.
wind up in Stars Hollow.
Yeah. So this definitely ties to that because she clearly was a frequent of that bar or nightclub. And yeah, I mean, I don't know why she was asking Dean because Dean was definitely not old enough to have been going there.
Well, she
But
may not know. This is before the internet, really, or starting to be, but just at
yeah,
the
she may
invention
not
of
have
the
been to Chicago since then.
Yeah, she might have been like, "Oh, I had a great time there last time I was there, and it was 50 years ago."
Yeah. And
So,
I think Dean said he did go. I don't remember exactly what his response was, but he was just trying to get out of the conversation.
yeah, trying to get out. And then Lorelai comes out and saves him because otherwise he's lost. He's gone.
Babette literally had a chokehold on his arm.
Oh yeah. So she comes out, and then Lorelai is talking to Miss Patty about, or not Miss Patty, Babette about Dean, and she says Chuck Heston.
Yeah, which it took me a moment to realize they were saying Charlton Heston because who calls him Chuck? Have you ever heard anyone call him Chuck?
No.
No.
But
It took me a second. I'm like, Chuck Heston. Oh, Charlton. Got it. Understood. I Googled him, just wanted to know, like, does he have a good chin? I mean, does Dean have a good chin? Does anybody have a good chin? And really, it's fine. It's normal. I don't know. Is that like something he was known for?
I mean, he definitely had that rugged kind of persona back then, like the
That's not a chin. That's a persona.
well, he had the more rugged looks, not like the, I don't know how to explain it, but he had like the 5 o'clock shadow look going.
He was very attractive in his younger years, of course, but the chin didn't stand out to me.
Also a little bit crazy, but
Was he?
oh, I'm going to get to that, but you know what movies he was in or most famous for?
Planet of the Apes.
Well, yes, that's in there. Soylent Green.
I've heard of that.
Soylent Green is people.
Eating people.
Is people. Yeah, they make people into
Yeah,
people.
I don't know why I've heard of it. I want to say I've heard of it from Gilmore Girls, and I don't know why.
I think I watched it in school, but I think it probably was in Gilmore Girls as well at some point.
We'll see. We'll
keep you posted.
address it.
So he had top secret clearance, and because he was famous and had top secret clearance, they recruited him to do like the voice work for a lot of like the training videos for like the nuclear silos.
Oh.
He had what was called Q clearance.
What Q I'm making connections I shouldn't make. So what are we talking about?
You're making the right connection. It's tied. Well, now it's rumored to be that QAnon it started with someone that had Q clearance, which is an actual thing.
Are we suggesting that he started QAnon? He
was
a Republican activist.
He's a nut job that was the president of the NRA for a while, so it's entirely not crazy to think that.
Huh.
But I think it's a made up bullshit thing because QAnon is stupid. But
right. Well, we will keep our political views.
I will move on from that because
the
I don't want to
podcast.
get shot.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Didn't love that, but he was a good actor, and I was more focused on his looks, and I could not see the connection there. But I think Babette probably was just imagining a boy that she admired in her younger years.
It's a time appropriate or reference appropriate heartthrob from movies.
Yeah, I didn't love the comment though of gives a whole new meaning to tasting day when she was talking about the kiss at the supermarket.
That's what I'm saying.
That was a little far. That was a little far.
That's what I'm saying. It's
so finally Lorelai is like, look, Dean, can you please go inside? Well, this was a little bit before because they didn't all say all that in front of Dean, but can you go inside because Rory is losing a battle with Pickle Jar? He goes inside. Lorelai and Babette have this whole conversation. It's a little bit, and then they go inside, and the awkward moment of just kind of like they're all standing there, and like clearly Rory and Dean don't know what to do because Lorelai is there, and Lorelai is trying to make this not awkward, so she decides that she's going to give him a tour of the house. And as she's giving him a tour of the house, she like has to like hide like naked butt photos of Rory as a baby, and is like trying to make this not awkward. So she's like, oh, my bedroom's upstairs, the good bathroom's up there. There's a kitchen through here. Have you ever heard a fridge yodel before? Like trying to make it like fun.
She's trying to carry the conversation so it's not just an awkward silence of a night where they're both wanting to die.
Yeah, and it was pretty awkward, but the doorbell rings, and Lorelai goes to get the doorbell, and Dean decides he wants to see Rory's bedroom. And look, I felt very uncomfortable in this situation because I remember being a teenage girl and I remember how much I did not want a boy in my bedroom for obvious reasons. Because, like, once you allow a boy in your bedroom, you're basically allowing a boy in your bedroom. You know what I mean? Like, you don't want to give that insinuation. So, as a teenage girl, it was always very much like, we're going to go out in the living room and I'm not even going to tell you where my bedroom is. You're not even going to know because
I don't sleep ever under any
yeah,
circumstances.
exactly.
Yeah.
I basically just exist and yeah, none of those things happen. It's like acknowledging I don't use the bathroom. Like we don't acknowledge these things. So I felt very awkward and he felt very comfortable just rummaging through her stuff.
Yeah, that's just not good manners. Like, that's really not just. I mean, I get that he's trying to kind of break the ice
And
and
he's
try
trying to
to.
connect.
Yeah, but find a different way, man. Like, you're not gonna start rummaging through her underwear drawer because that's.
I mean, that happens in 10 Things I Hate About You.
Yeah, I mean, that's just
Yeah.
no.
Yeah. It was a lot, but one of the things he finds in her room is the CD for Nick Drake, Pink Moon, the Volkswagen commercial, which they reference, and we'll talk about it. But I wanted to mention that people on the internet think that she specifically bought this CD because Lane told her that Dean likes Nick Drake. So she strategically placed it there to make it like, I like Nick Drake. So like we have something in common. Do you think that happened?
I think it's more likely that Lane already had the CD, and because he liked it, she wanted to listen to it to try to see if it's something they have in common.
Now, so you don't think there's any chance that she had been listening to Nick Drake already and that was already a
No,
commonality?
I think it's absolutely, it was Lane let her borrow a CD and then see if she likes it.
Yeah. I thought that I mean, given that her best friend is Lane, it's likely that she already knew who he was. But they also were saying that Dean making fun of the fact that it was a Volkswagen commercial is pretty pretentious because it's very likely that Dean found out about Nick Drake from the Volkswagen commercial. So they were saying that they were both trying to impress each other there because Rory didn't know Nick Drake before she found out about Dean, and then Dean didn't know about Nick Drake before the Volkswagen commercial, and they're all kind of like saying things that make them seem better to try and connect, is what people are speculating on the
The
internet.
Volkswagen commercial I just vibe with because I've very much don't have a lot of social battery oftentimes. So
Always.
the commercial, they're driving to a party and they're like, screw this, I just want to leave. So they leave rather than going to the party, which that is just chef's kiss beautiful. Like, that's you. Yep.
It's named one of the top 25 car commercials ever, which, I mean, it's a very nice commercial, but I didn't think anything much of it. I don't know. Maybe I just didn't get it. It was fine. It was fine to me.
I very much connected on not wanting to have to socialize.
But I did like the song. It reminded me of Pink Floyd, though. It gave me Pink Floyd vibes.
It's a very mellow song.
Yeah. So if you haven't seen it, Pink Moon Volkswagen commercial, it's on YouTube and definitely check it out. But it does seem it gave Nick Drake a resurgence. Although, unfortunately, it seems like it did give the resurgence after he had already passed away, which is kind of unfortunate. But it did get his songs out to a new generation, which is what people speculate is how Dean found out. On top of that, he also found a chicken plush in her bedroom, and he was not nice about it.
Was it a chicken or a cock?
I'm not going to say that. I thought it was a turkey originally, but he said chicken.
It was definitely a rooster, but
well, regardless, he was not very nice about it, and I'm very paranoid that somebody's going to come into my room one day and look at the stuffed animals and such and plushies and squishies and things that I have in my room.
I mean, to be fair, it looks like a graveyard because our dogs destroy them.
Fair, but it's just, I don't know. I just feel like I don't know that I would have taken kindly to that on my first time letting you into my room and you decide to pick up my stuffed animal and make fun of me.
Well, it's kind of your inner sanctum, and he's not as delicate as he could have been with being let in behind the curtain. Like,
yeah,
he
was trying to jest and kind of be like, playful ribbing, but she was already uncomfortable. I just felt like that was a little bit harsh.
It's tread carefully. You are a guest here,
right.
Like in my personal space.
Right. So at the same time as this is happening, Lorelai has gone to get the door, and the presumption is that she's going to get the pizza, but it's Suki, and Suki has brought dessert. And Suki has brought dessert as a pretense to see Dean.
Does Suki always just have a baked good prepared at all times?
The answer is yes.
Because the only way that she would have found out about this is that Babette let out the bat signal of they have a boy over at the Gilmore house. And
Or Lorelai was, talking to Suki when after Rory freaked out, while Rory was presumably in the shower. She probably showered before she got dressed, something like that.
well, yeah, but there's a very narrow window, not enough time to start baking and then also have a conversation about the boy.
True.
So she had those ready to
She
go.
was on the ready.
Just emergency brownies.
I think we should also note for the record that Suki has also already met Dean at Cinnamon's wake. So she wanted to re-meet him because Rory is dating him, essentially. Yep.
Well, it's tied to later on the show when Lorelai gives him the riot act and says the whole town is watching you.
Yeah.
Like, this is not a normal circumstance. Like, this is the one person that it's like dating Taylor Swift functionally. not to that scale, but it's the Taylor Swift of Stars Hollow.
Yeah.
Because she is the person.
Yeah. Now, do you blame Lorelai for this encounter situation with Suki? Because Rory does, obviously.
She needs to be significantly more forceful. It's a no, out.
Yeah.
Cookies, go. Out the door.
I wouldn't even take in the cookies because
it's not even arguing. Opening the door, you're getting out. You can leave the cookies if you want, but I swear to God, if she sees you, we will never talk again.
Well, leaving the cookies, she's going to know who brought the cookies. She's not going to be like, I wonder where those cookies came from. Like, she's going to know.
Yeah, but you got to run the cost benefit. Like, they're probably dope. So, like,
they probably are really good cookies. I'll give you that.
The key to a man's heart is through his stomach. So cookies are a good place to start.
Yeah.
Like, that's as long as we don't have to acknowledge where they came from, they're just magically appearing. Yeah, it's a solid strategy, but get out of the house.
Yes. And then the pizza guy comes. There's a funny little mixeroo where Lorelai takes the cookies and Suki takes the pizza, and then Dean and Rory are like, where's the pizza? And then Suki's like, oh, it's right here, the pizza, and uses it as a way to meet Dean, which she does. And Rory wants to kill her, which as she should.
Well, the pizza guy's also trying to angle for a glimpse. Like it's already past the point of.
Oh yeah, everyone knows. The town knows. It's
out of containment. Babette has literally told everyone.
Of course. She literally went.
She told Miss Patty. She called Miss Patty, and Miss Patty it's instant.
Yeah, it's surprising that nobody else shows up. If we're being honest.
To be fair, I'm surprised that Luke and like Kirk and like everyone is not.
Yeah.
There.
Oh, do you need coffee? Do you need? Yeah. Like it could have been a whole thing.
You need burgers. You had pizza, but you need burgers too.
Right. I'm also really surprised that they didn't get Al's for the first date because it just feels like that would have been the thing to do. But
Al's is not an appetizing thing. So
neither is all that candy. They were going to be sick anyway. They might as well just go for it.
Sick off of candy and junk food is not the same as food poisoning, salmonella, and just no.
Okay, fair. So they finally do sit down to watch a movie. And I just want to acknowledge, first of all, why is no one sitting on a couch? Why are we all sitting on the floor? Is it because they didn't want to be too close on the couch? Like what could have been the reason?
I don't know, because my knees were screaming at that moment. I'm going, nope, no.
Yeah, the only thing I could think was that they didn't want to be too close. They wanted to be able to separate as much as possible, so they just didn't want.
On the couch, Lorelai's not sitting in the middle. First off,
no, awkward.
So they would have
put Rory in the middle.
Yeah,
of course.
And then it would just been painful.
But the floor, no, thank you. My back would have died. But anyway. So they are sitting there and they're chatting about different things while the movie is going. You can see it on there. And Rory says, my mom has a thing for Oompa Loompas. And she's like, I don't think it's a thing. And she's like, well, I mean, the recurring dream of you marrying one would insinuate that it's a thing. And I guess my first thought to that was, why is she having a recurring dream about marrying Oompa Loompas? But hey, I have weird dreams.
And
so
she used dream and not nightmare. First off, that's not a dream.
No, that sounds horrifying.
They're terrifying.
Yeah, especially the ones in that particular version. They're
bright,
like orange.
Bright orange with green hair and just unsettlingly deep voices for someone that height.
Nope. I feel like it probably does say something about Lorelai's choice in men, but I don't know what they're intending for it to say there. But they then decide to talk about different, I guess, things that they each are afraid of or not afraid of, that make them sad in movies.
Wasn't it the embarrassing?
Is it embarrassing? Well, because they kind of go in different directions here.
Well, it's the embarrassing because she says you were Prince Charming. You wanted to marry him for a long time.
Right. So they're talking about the Sleeping Beauty versus Cinderella, and he says the Sleeping Beauty one, right? And because he can dance, and he says, I know I have sisters. And I'm just wondering on this, can't the Cinderella one dance? Didn't they meet at a dance? Isn't that where her shoe
At a
fell off?
ball? Yeah. Yes. But also, this is tied into my discrepancy for this episode
Okay.
because he says, I have sisters. Does he have sisters? He has a sister.
So I did some deep diving, and I think that Clara is the only one acknowledged in the show. He has a nephew at some point, and the speculation is maybe that's tied to a sister that like never left Chicago or something, like an older one, but it's never clarified. So I have no idea. Clara is the only one we meet, so for all intents and purposes of the show, he has one.
Yeah, he has a sister.
Right. 100%. So I don't
Also,
I don't
if
know.
he has an older sister, she's not talking about her fictional cartoon first crush with him as a
Hey,
younger
I
brother.
have weird things that I talk about, and I'm old.
Not with your brother.
I mean, no. Not anymore, but maybe when I was younger.
Yeah, but he's your older brother, not your
That's fair. That's fair.
not your younger brother. You're not gonna have that conversation with your younger brother. That's what your teenage friends are for.
That's fair. That's fair. That's fair. And then they turn to Dean and they want to see what his embarrassing thing is. And Lorelai says, "Oh, I know. You cry at the theme of Ice Castles.
Which I did
You know nothing about.
not
Not a thing. So Ice Castles is a movie. It's
Okay.
about a girl who was an ice skater, and she was a competitive ice skater, and then she lost her sight. And so she has to like overcome that obstacle to try and continue to compete. And the theme song is called Through the Eyes of Love, and it's all about like being able to persevere with love on your side, and it's very endearing and very heartwarming. And the movie looks like it's all about perseverance and like those of people closest to you like helping you and loving you, and it seems like it's a lot. It seems really sad and also
so that universe
empowering.
does not have a Tanya Harding in it, clearly.
I don't think so. It's from the 70s. So I think that's pre Tanya Harding.
But yeah, also she would absolutely have started hiding her stuff.
Yeah.
Out of spite.
Yes. But it was very sad and very empowering and very a lot of things. So definitely can see why she would pick that up.
I have nothing to add. I didn't even remember to research this one. So this is all you.
Well, that's it on that one. So he says no. And then she says, what about the way we were? It's you were upset that Robert Redford dumped.
Doesn't leave his family.
Yeah. And so The Way We Were is obviously a very important movie to Lorelai because it's also referenced later on in a breakup episode that I watch far too many times. It's my favorite episode. And so it's very clear that The Way We Were is important to Lorelai, and that probably does speak more to the fact that she has a on again, off again relationship with Christopher, would be my assumption.
Well, it's the leave your carefree life and choose me. It's similar. It's not leaving your family, but it's you have a family that you left. So
Choose me.
Yeah.
So it definitely speaks to that. But he says he's never seen The Way We Were. And obviously that is going to be a personal attack to Lorelai, as I said. Very important movie to her.
Also, I've never seen it.
Right.
So
I mean, I don't necessarily know I recommend it. I watched it because that's my favorite episode. It's fine.
I mean, it's Robert Redford. Which
Robert Redford is
totally,
delightful.
Yeah. So I was sold when I heard Robert Redford, Barbara Streisand, like sold.
Yeah, it's a great cast, but it's a little bit slow moving. So yeah. But then Lorelai gets up. I don't even know where she goes to refill the popcorn, I think.
She goes to give them
space. Yeah. And he wants to know when the newcomer will get to choose a movie. And he makes a suggestion that I am very unsure of why he would choose for his girlfriend and mother
that
to
has
watch.
To be either a very clear joke or the worst possible. I don't think I could find a more uncomfortable movie to watch with parents.
I am in my 30s and would not watch this with my parents. Would not.
Oh, no, you can't.
I would be horrified.
This is the single least parent-friendly watch movie maybe of all time.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's a single worse movie to watch with your parents.
I mean, there might be, but this is awful. So it is Boogie Nights. It's from 1997.
Yep. Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch.
Yes, and this is after Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch. This is what got him into acting.
Yes, this is his big break movie.
Yes. So, I mean, Marky Mark is Mark Wahlberg from Boston. We know. I used to love him until I learned a lot of things about him that I don't love so much. But he was very popular in the 90s. Yeah. And so Rory's like, no, Lorelai's never gonna go for that. And he says, oh, she's not a Marky Mark fan. And she says, no, she had a bad reaction to Magnolia, which insinuates that has nothing to do with Marky Mark, because Marky Mark is not in Magnolia.
It's
However,
the director of Boogie Nights. It's
Paul Thomas Anderson is the director of both of these movies.
Can I just say, if Magnolia, which I've never seen, is anything like Boogie Nights, it's seemingly less coherent.
It looks like a lot. I read about it. I did not watch the trailer because I was overwhelmed by the reading. So I was like, oh, maybe not.
So there's a scene in the trailer where Tom Cruise, who is in this movie, says, was that unclear? Yes. Yes, the trailer.
Are you being meta?
Literally, the trailer was the least clear trailer I have ever watched for any movie. I have I can't follow this movie.
So are you interested in watching it?
No. No.
Now I feel like it's a challenge. Now I feel like I need to watch it to see if I can understand it.
It'll be a challenge to watch. It's going to be all over the place. It's going to be one of those movies that is so many moving pieces, and you're just going to be
lost.
Oh, it's going to be a mashup of nightmare.
I would love to know if anybody else has seen this. Let us know your thoughts and if it's worth watching. Because I mean, I like a good challenge, but yeah, it seemed
great
like
cast, but I can't do it. I can't do that.
No,
just no.
No. So it doesn't seem like Dean is going to get to choose for movie night. Is what it seems like.
I don't think Dean should get to choose for movie night with those just.
Nah, he's got some learning to do.
If that's a genuine recommendation, your movie choosing privileges are forever suspended.
I don't think you fully gave what Boogie Nights is about. Boogie
Nights, the least appropriate movie to watch with your parents, is about pornography in the 1970s.
Didn't you say he had a magic?
He becomes a pornography star.
Marky Mark does.
Mark Wahlberg, because he has presumably, we never see it in the movie, obviously, but presumably he has a giant, perfect dick.
We never see it?
No.
Well, I mean, I just feel like if it's going to be about that.
You can't show full frontal nudity in a rated R movie.
Oh, I'm sure they show boobs.
Yeah, that's not full frontal. That's half frontal.
Oh, that's...
I didn't say it was fair. I didn't say it was...
I have feelings. I'm not going to say them, but if you were going to compare private parts of the species, I don't see it. I don't see how the ding-a-ling is less offensive, or more offensive, I'm sorry, than boobs. I don't understand.
Well, they don't show the bottom half of anyone in this movie. It's a movie about...
So is it just because things come out of the bottom half? What are we talking about?
I don't...
Okay, I want to know why the ratings happen.
I didn't make the decisions for this movie.
All right.
And I honestly don't know how this movie was made in the first place.
I would love to see this movie because it sounds horrible in the best possible way. I feel like this is one of those movies that you watch to mock, and I love that. I'm here for that.
It's a lot. I have seen this movie, and
you've seen this movie?
I have seen him.
I'm in. I'm in for it.
I mean, a great cast. Don't get me wrong, it's a great cast, but just
future movie night.
I'm gonna have to be convinced to watch. Like, this is not.
I have my ways.
You have to prepare yourself. You're gonna have to brace yourself to watch this movie. It's not a movie you just watch on a whim.
Okay. All right. I'll prepare. I'll steel myself. So from here, Rory gets up and goes to talk to Lorelai because she's freaking out. She's like, he smells really good and he's really nice. And essentially he's perfect and I'm being stupid. And then she finally admits to Lorelai that after Dean kissed her, she said thank you. And Lorelai does a very good job of not mocking her. So that's very polite.
I mean, that's mocking her, clearly.
She tempered herself, but Rory wants Lorelai to come back because she feels stressed, overwhelmed, the whole thing.
She needs a bit of a buffer. She needs a reason to not be just awkward alone with a boy. She needs her mom there to be awkward with the boy so that she can say, my mom was there. Like, that's
right.
I can't be cool and collected and just who I am when my mom is here, obviously.
Right. I mean, however, I did think it was a forward move to decide to let your mom go in there alone. She decides she needs to go wash her face because of all the sugar she ate.
Well, they can't go back together because then he knows that they talked, which he already very clearly heard that conversation.
Yeah, there's no walls separating, guys. Like, there's a hallway.
It's not even a long hallway. It's like 4 feet between the rooms.
And she was essentially yelling. So, I mean, he
She was
heard.
freak out talking, which is louder than normal talking.
Yes, she definitely had her voice carry, and he absolutely heard. But I mean, if you heard that and you were on a first date and you liked me,
I did not hear that.
you wouldn't acknowledge it. You
No,
would let it go.
that conversation never happened.
You
even
would
though
think
I
it was
heard
cute. You'd be like,
I
"Oh,
heard all of it.
yeah," but you would be like, "Oh, that's cute. She's nervous." Like you
A
wouldn't.
huge confidence boost. He's like, he smells really nice and he's perfect. And it's just like, yep.
Right. You're not gonna then when I come back in the room be like, "I heard what you said." Like you wouldn't do that.
No.
Like that blows
I'm not
up in your
acknowledging
face.
it. I feel better about my day.
Right. It's a good thing.
Yeah.
You're happy. But Lorelai goes back in there and sits down while Rory goes into the bathroom, which I think is the Bobbit closet. That's all I'm gonna say. Pretty sure it's Bobbit closet. So is that a bathroom / closet? I don't know what's going on there. Goes back in there and she decides to essentially have a talk with Dean. And
the talk. Yeah, she has the talk. No, these are the rules.
Yeah.
This is, you are going to behave yourself in a way that I find appropriate, not that you find appropriate.
yes. Now, before I get too far into what she says to him, there is a fan fiction out there that I want to acknowledge that says that Lorelai has feelings for Dean, and that in this talk is one of the first times you see her flirting with Dean. And it's kind of like a playful banter, the way she smiles at him, the way she looks at him. People think that, and they say it throughout the time that Rory is dating Dean, but this is the first time you see it, of her being kind of a little bit flirty versus being the authority. And I wondered what you thought about this because I don't think you've heard this before. So
I have not heard it. I don't think that's what's going on here. I think it's more nostalgia. I think it's her remembering back to a time, because she's already said that he looks like Christopher.
right.
So she's going back to when she was dating Christopher at that age, and it's bringing her back to a time before her life got serious. And so she's remembering that fondly.
Yeah. I think so. I kind of look at the whole trajectory of the relationship between Rory and Dean and how Lorelai interacts with Dean. And I think it's a lot more to do with the fact that Lorelai is a flirt by nature. The way she associates with guys is flirtatious. And that's how she gets things done. That's how she manipulates them to do her bidding, essentially. And
Yep.
she looks at Dean just like she looks at Rory more as an equal than she does as being a mother and like having that separation. So because of that, she does still do some of that flirtatious manipulation with him as she does with other people, but it's not a sexual thing. I think it's more this is just how she interacts with men.
It's also, she's very much trying to make sure that she's understood and she gets what she wants, which is his behavior to match what she wants.
Yes,
Like, so
she's being very stern of like, if you
she's being manipulative, not flirty. It's more just pay attention, boy.
Yeah. And so she basically tells him that if he hurts her, she, not only her, but the entire town will kill him. And I mean, I don't think that's far off from what actually ends up panning out. But
I mean, to be clear, the entire town has already tried to see him on the first date. Like, you could have sold tickets to the first date.
this is true.
So
The line though where she says she will not get on your motorcycle, and he says I don't have a motorcycle, but then 2 episodes later he has a motorcycle. Was that supposed to be a euphemism, or is this a continuity error again?
So I think he's going to get a motorcycle because he's that type of guy.
Okay.
So he's a gearhead. He builds her a car, for God's sake. Like, he's
Yeah.
going to have a motor. Like, that's just
Yeah. I was wondering if it was a euphemism because when Lorelai got on the motorcycle of Christopher, she had a child. So I was wondering if it was a euphemism for like, she will not have your child.
Yeah. I think it's probably just that gives you the danger, so you can't, like, she'll die. She broke her arm reading a book somehow. Like,
She's fragile.
she's frail.
She's a bit fragile. But I actually really appreciated how Dean responded to this conversation. He matched her attitude, her firmness, and he was essentially like, I need you to like me. I know that Rory values you and values your opinion, and I need you to like me, and I'm not going anywhere. I'm not afraid of the fact that the town is after me. I know that they're watching me, and I don't care. I want to be with Rory, and I'm going to do what it takes. And I really respected the way that he kind of did that because he's in her home on her turf, and he knows that if he messes this up in this moment, he's not going to have a shot.
Well, it's back to the whole first season. Dean is the best Dean.
Right.
Like, he's never better as himself than he is in the first season.
Yeah, that's fair. And honestly, I think this scene of Dean is probably the best scene of any of the boyfriends with Lorelai
Oh
because
yeah, no, this is
he matches her energy, he stands up for himself, but he also is very respectful of Rory in that moment. He doesn't try and be like, we're going to do this without your blessing because we don't care and we're in love, like, which is how Jess's vibe is. He doesn't do the whole, well, she likes me and you don't matter, like Logan does, that whole vibe. He very much is, I'm going to be with her and I'm staying here, but your opinion is really, really important and I will make you like me. Like, I am going to do what it takes. Like, it's a
yeah.
really good scene. I feel like he really did a good job in the scene. And if this is how he remained, he's the winner.
He's top tier boyfriend.
Right.
Like
They
just
they ruin him, but
they
in this
wrote him
moment,
subsequently worse and worse and worse.
right.
And I don't know if that was to show that he is a person that succumbs to his flaws, which is a valid strategy, but it's
And
just
relationships also morph and change and
it just he started off so strong
he
and then
did.
it's you the higher you fly, the farther you fall.
Flew
Like
too close to the sun,
yep.
man. It's just, but this was a really great scene. I really enjoyed this
You're
scene.
gonna quote Hamilton again, like the 70th time for our podcast. You're
Can't
gonna,
help it. But from here, they kind of both agree that like, yes, he's going to continue dating. And then Dean is getting ready to leave. He's on the porch with Rory. They kiss again. It makes me think of earlier in the episode when Lorelai says, he kissed you again when you just get out of jail. Like,
and then he says thank you.
yeah, which was
As
really adorable.
Bravo, sir.
Really
Bravo.
great. And then they end the episode with Rory and Lorelai in Lorelai's bedroom. And Lorelai is just like, I really just wish you had told me about the kiss. Like, I wanted to know. And, Rory understood. And then finally Rory is like, I know this is really lame and like really after the fact, but like, you want me to tell you about the kiss? And they act like little schoolgirls and they go and like detail for detail.
It hits that exactly what Lorelai needed because it's about her feeling like she's the best friend again, not a mom.
Yeah, and I think it's a full circle kind of moment where Lorelai was really feeling like she was being pushed out, and now she's feeling like she's back in. And
Yeah,
I
I think Dean did a very good job of saying you are the person that you're gonna have to like me.
right, you matter. You are
Yeah.
part of this relationship, whether we acknowledge it or not. You are. So
I mean, to be fair, she asked him out.
yeah,
So
essentially. So, but what did you think of this episode overall? Because I know at the beginning we talked about this a little bit, and you had said you weren't sure because you weren't super into the relationships. So
I mean, it's a very necessary episode. It drives their relationship forward in a noticeable way. I I do think that they missed out on the opportunity to have that duality because there's a lot of episodes that have the same journey paralleled by Lorelai and Rory.
right.
And they could have had the she didn't tell Max first kiss. Like there was an opportunity
Yeah,
there.
this did very
And
much lack parallels. It
it
it it was a singular focus episode.
which they did it well. I'm not gonna discount it. I felt that there was that one piece missing to kind of really drive it home. But on the flip side, if you do that, you have to devote more time and screen time to that, and it doesn't allow you to get as seriously focused.
Yeah. I
So
feel like for this episode, for me, it worked because they really needed to move the Dean Rory relationship forward. And I really loved the little townsfolk like cameos and pieces, like bits and pieces where you get to see little parts of how they react to things. They're starting to more and more let the townsfolk kind of become their own person and have their own like,
although we
pieces.
never see the pizza guy again.
No, well, I think we might see him again. But Taylor's finally here, and the Luke Taylor dynamic starts up, and you've got Babette as the gossip, which is kind of popping up here, and Suki as Suki. So there's just like all of the
Just
things.
fundamentally not smooth.
Yeah, and I don't know. Like I don't know. This episode makes me start feeling like, okay, this is where I start feeling that like really homey nostalgia vibe.
It's starting to feel like an actual place.
Yeah.
It's a real community of interesting people.
Yes, it's a good collective. So I really enjoyed this episode. I am happy though that we are moving forward because I feel like we took a lot of weeks to get through this one. But yeah, so this one was really great. So that's everything for this episode. I think we caught all of the references. I'm sure we've missed something.
We probably did, but we finally get to move on. It's been like 6 weeks.
Yes. And the next episode is It's Love, War, and Snow. I have a feeling this title is going to be a reference to something, but I'm really excited to move forward. So thank you guys so much for listening.
Thank you all for listening.